Welcome to My Self Care Sht, the podcast, where we talk about what true self-care looks and feels like. I'm your host, Kathy Love, 2-time TEDx speaker, author, and self-care coach. Each week, we'll have honest conversations on how to create the peace and stability we crave in our lives. One of my favorite things to do is work with my youngest client ever. She is a 13-year-old young woman who is about to graduate from 8th grade and move on into high school. And we've had so much fun and so many interesting conversations that we've both learned so much from over the past 6 months that we've worked together. Our relationship started about a year ago when her parents shared my workbook with her. And she was interested in it. She took it to look at for a while and started to answer some of the questions. And one of the questions she had was if she could have a conversation with me. And luckily, because I know her parents well, we were able to jump on a call fairly quickly. So at first, she was just excited to be talking to an author, and she told me it was the best book ever, and it was very sweet. But what she said after that was actually one of the most important things that I ever imagined I would hear coming from somebody who had picked up my workbook. At 12 years old, she said to me, "You know that part in your book where you say you'd rather be in a toxic relationship than no relationship at all? Well, I could really relate to that." And I just held my breath for a second. I was in shock that she would say something like that. I didn't really understand what life experience she could have had that made her understand that concept. So I asked her about it. And she said that she was in a group of girls that were all friends, but those girls were actually not very nice to her. They were bullying her. And she decided at that time that she would rather be friends with them than not have any friends at all. And I think if we can think back to our younger years, we might be able to really identify with what she said. It made me realize how important these lessons in healing from codependency, in working on our people pleasing and setting boundaries and all of the things that I've been talking about and coaching adults on and learning myself, how important it is to begin at such a young age. And so I've had the opportunity since then to really get into some deep conversations, which I will be sharing with you at another date. I've talked about wanting to do this podcast for years. It's been in my vision board. It's been on my note cards by my bed. I recorded my first episode over a year ago. And I've always wanted to share the stories and the healing and the lessons. But it wasn't until I had this experience with this younger woman and seeing it through her eyes and how important it is that we are learning for ourselves, we're healing ourselves, and we're able to share with the next generation these lessons that we've learned the hard way. I've always had so much fear around actually getting this going and wondering what I might talk about or if I'd have enough to talk about. As much as I've been wanting to share the lessons that I've been learning and through my own work and through the coaching with other people and hearing their stories, I just couldn't get over that concern, which is actually really an example of codependency, which I've talked about before, is worrying about the outcome instead of just actually doing it. Well, after I had this conversation with this young woman and
have now started working with her, seeing it through her eyes, I realize how important this work is. And if we are learning it at 12 years old, the difference that it could make in our lives before we decide who we want to be friends with or who our first boyfriend or girlfriend might be, what kind of relationships we want to have, what classes we'll choose in high school or which college we'll go to. Our lives could be so much more authentic and not based on what we think other people want or expect from us. So when I'm coaching, I often will say that I want us, myself included, to be able to love and appreciate ourselves as if we were a young child who we would automatically, without any questions asked, defend, protect, and love. And so it's because of this young woman that she got me to the point where I felt like I had to share these stories. And so I have a lot more that I want to share with you. Whether you're an adult who's listening to this podcast, who's doing the work, or a young adult who is just getting started, just know that we're all dealing with the same emotions and issues, the same struggles, the same beliefs that we need to look at. And we all have lessons that we can teach each other. I will see you here next week.
Great job making time for yourself today. Be sure to subscribe to My Self Care Sht, the podcast, wherever you listen in. Your 5-star review will help get this show to whoever needs to hear it. Go grab your free daily self-care checklist on myselfcaresht.com. Please take the last minute of this podcast for yourself to listen to the ocean waves and breathe.